everyone, Jen here for Jen Bell Designs and Country Craft Creations with you today. Today I'm going to go through this fun little album that I'm going to be making using the exclusive to Country Craft Creations birthday collection. And I'm going to be using the 8x8. Such vibrant colors. If you're not familiar with this collection, you will absolutely love it, especially if you like that kind of 50s throwback vibe with your papers, really retro. I love this. It's just super cute. Lots of pinks and blues. Makes for a really great birthday album, which is what I'm going to be doing, or cards. You can do lots of fun stuff with it. So I just want to run down what I'm using really quick, and then we'll dive into the tutorial. So for this album, I'm making it a 6x8. So we have the chipboard is 6x8, 2 pieces, and then our spine is 2x8. So this will be a 2x8. Now for the wrap, which is the Lay Flat Method that I've linked below, you're going to need 2 8x10s to wrap your cover and your back, and a 5x10 for your spine. Now, I tried something new this time. The new 65-pound smooth is now available in black, so I used it to cover my interior of my album. So my spine piece that covers under here is, again, 5, and then it's about 7 7/8. And then my 2 pieces over here, I wanted to line this using that, and those were 5 7/8 by 7 7/8. Okay, so let's dive right into the tutorial. Let's go ahead and get into this little interactive page system. We will have 4 signatures. Signature 1 is going to be this fun one with a couple of flips, and on the back side, I haven't decided what to do yet. I may leave that blank, put some photo mats on there. We may add a pocket, who knows. This is what I have so far, and I wanted to get to filming, so let's get these basics down. So you're going to have, for the first one, 11 3/4 by 7 3/4. Put that in your scoreboard with the 11 3/4 across the top and score at half, score at 3/4, and score at 6 1/4. Then what you want to do is flip this around so that your 7 3/4 is at the top. We are going to score this at 3 3/4, down just to that next line, and then 4. Same thing, just down to that line. So it's giving you this little 1/4 inch space in between here that we're going to cut out. Okay? Now, you can do this on a cutter. You can do it with scissors. I'm not quite sure. I think I'm going to use scissors cautiously. No, I'm going to use a cutter. I do not have the steadiest hand when it comes to cutting. So for me, I prefer to just do it the right way the first time. Then I don't have to waste paper when I cut it wrong, because that's probably what would happen. So I'm just going to grab my cutter. This is a rotary cutter. And I'm going to go in, and how I'm going to do this is, I know that this side is 3 3/4. So we can take this the edge right to that 3 3/4. And I can go straight up, watch your blade, and make sure that you stop before that edge. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put this side on that 3 3/4. Make sure it lines up, top and bottom, all the way down. So we get a nice straight cut. Do the same thing. Just be sure you stop before your score line, or you will have to make it all over again. So what that's going to leave you with is these 2 little flaps and this little thing in the middle. Go ahead and fold one of your flaps over, making sure it gets right next to that 1/4 inch give space score line. And then you're just going to fold that back and burnish once it's nice and straight. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other one. Right up against that line. It will go over it just a tad bit. And then you just want to burnish that out nicely. And that's going to leave you with this. And I'm just going to go in up against my paper to ensure that that's a nice clean cut. See how nice and flat that is? So that is signature 1, ready to go. When we get it decorated, it'll go in the book, just like so. So you're gonna have a flap and a flap, and I am most likely going to put some sort of closure on here. I'm not quite sure what yet. And I'm gonna set these aside because they are done. For signature 2, this one is a little bit different. What we'll be doing with this one is using a lot of folds to make this page. And we're going to add a gusset. So you will essentially have 3 pieces of paper in total before we do any cutting. And you're going to have a 12 by 9 1/4 and a flap that is 5 1/2 by 6 1/2 and a gusset that is 1 by 4 4/4. 4 1/4, not 4/4. Ooh, Jen can't talk today. All right. So your 12 by 9 1/4, you're going to put that across your scoreboard at 12, or excuse me, at 9 1/4. And we're going to score at half and at 3/4 and at 6 1/4. Okay. Then you want to turn this so that your 12 is across the top, and we are going to score at 7 3/4. Okay, so this is what you will have. 5 1/2, a 3, this little section, and this little section. So the next thing you want to do is we are going to take our scissors, and down here where you have this little section, we are going to cut up this just to that second score line where our 1/4 inch mark is. And then just go ahead and miter that while you have it. And we will also miter this side as well. And this is what you're going to get. Now what you want to do is go into your scoreboard again, and we're just going to make this 9 score mark. This is the easiest way to get that extra 1/4 inch off there. And I'm going to cut that extra 1/4 inch I just scored, so I have a 1/2 inch gusset rather than 3/4 of an inch. Okay? Easy peasy stuff. Now you want to turn it around, and we're going to cut this line just up to this line. And I'm going to do that on my cutter just because I want it nice and straight. So I'm going to grab my rotary cutter here. I'm going to put this in, and I know here I have 4 1/4 inches. So I just want to get my cutter, the blade, to cut just up to that score line. You don't want to go beyond it. You can pull it back a little if you have to. Otherwise, you're going to get a little divot that you don't want. Okay? So now what you want to do, turn this over, and we're going to turn our, let me see if I get this right. Yes. We want to fold this in like so, and then fold, no, I did that backwards. See, I'm going to fold it back. So now you have this. Yes, Jen makes mistakes too, guys, especially with my folding. All right, I'm going to straighten this out real quick. So this is what you'll have. This is your space up here. This is this here. This is going to flip around to the back. So just flip that up like so. And then this 3-inch space here, we're going to flip over onto the page. And that is going to give you a pocket, a vertical pocket on this side. And I am going to line this up a little better. And I don't think I cut real well at the bottom. So if you need to do some trimming, that is perfectly okay. As you can see, I need to do just a tad bit of trimming or adjust the pocket or the gusset here, which is fine. We're going to put that 1-inch gusset in here. So this is what you have. You have a, yeah, this is a little off. I'm not quite sure how that happens. So I'm going to trim this really quick. My 3-inch pocket is just a little off for me. Yours may be perfect, but mine is not. So don't want to cut into that. I just want to cut. There we go. I just had a little bit too much. Okay. So you can gusset this if you want. I am not going to be gusseting mine. It is just going to be a tuck pocket. But on the reverse side where we just did this, this front piece will be a tuck pocket. This little flap, you need to fold that in, the one that we trimmed. And go ahead and burnish that. That's going to come up, meet there. And then your little gusset that we made, that is 1 by 4 1/4. I'm going to put that in the scoreboard, and we are going to score it at 1/2 inch. And we are going to fold this. And burnish. And then we can miter those sides. Okay, bring this in. So you have your little flap with your gusset on this side. We are now going to add this gusset to this side. And you can do this before decorating because we can slide our top paper above it. So just add glue. So make sure the opening is to the inside of your pocket. Put that right up against and burnish. And I need a little rag here because I'm getting glue everywhere. Then once you have that, you can go ahead and add glue to that other side. Once you have that all nice and neat. And we're just going to bring that up and close it up. And if you need to make any adjustments, you can do so once this pocket is nicely stuck down. As you can see, mine is a little over still, and I'm actually okay with that. It doesn't look bad. We'll see once my glue all dries, but I'm going to go ahead and put a clip on this while it dries, a couple of them. I like these flatter clips for this. And that way I know that it is drying. And that is that. So what you're going to have here is you'll have your pocket. We need to, actually I forgot to glue this one down. See, this is why it's puckering. You want to add glue to the other 1/2 inch side too. Before you stick it down. You're probably going, Jen, what are you doing? You kind of have 2 sides there. Yeah, we do. We want to stick them both down. Don't know what I was thinking there. I guess I wasn't. So now you have a pocket, and then we'll put this down as a pocket as well. You can decorate. I'm going to decorate first before I put it down, but I'm just going to put glue on the top and the bottom and make this one a tuck spot. And I'm going to put a tag in here, and then the top will be a pocket. Okay, so that is that side. Now for the side with the 3-inch pocket, we are going to add a little flap. So this little side flap is 5.5 by 6.5. Put it in your scoreboard with the 5.5 across the top and simply score it at 1/2. And then we're going to fold and we're going to burnish and we're going to miter those edges. And this I can also add on before decorating. I'm going to pull my scoreboard out of here so I don't get glue everywhere. Story of my life. All right. So give this a really good burnish. And then add glue to that 1/2 inch space there. Tab. Gusset, whatever you want to call it. And then you just simply want to bring this. You have your 3 inch here. You want to bring this in and just put it up against the score line for that 1/4 inch space. And try to eyeball the center. Mine is a little high. If it would stop sticking. And I think that is pretty close. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stick that down really well. Get rid of all that excess glue that's going everywhere. So now what you'll have here is we'll have this flip open. We'll have our pocket down here that we can put something in. There'll be a magnet here or a tie. I haven't decided how I'm doing my closures just yet, but I will definitely go over them when I do my walkthrough. And that is that. That is signature 2. Ready to go. All right, for signature 3, we are going to just take a piece. We're going to have, it's actually going to make it so that it extends the pages, so you have more pages. This one you have 11 3/4 by 7 3/4. Put that in your scoreboard with the 11 3/4 across the top. And just like the others, we're going to do 1/2. So score at 1/2, score at 3/4, score at 6 1/4. Okay. Reinforce my score lines here. This is simply going to fold over, and I'm going to do this in my scoreboard. It should line right up with your 1/4 inch, so where your 3/4 inch is. It is good to do it in your scoreboard. Then you can make sure everything lines up nicely, and mine does, and that's going to be that side of the page. Now, all right, so now we're going to create and assemble a waterfall, a stacked waterfall. So what you're going to need for this is 3 pieces. One that is 11.5 by 4 3/4. One that is 10.5 by 4 3/4, and one that is 9.5 by 4 3/4. And for these, you just want to put them on your scoreboard at their longest. So you're going to put this one in at 11.5. We're going to score at 4.5. Turn it all the way around and score again at 4.5. So then you get that space in the middle. Do the same thing with the other 2. So the 10.5, we're going to score at 4.5. Turn and score at 4.5. And then finally the 9.5, we're going to do the same thing. So 9.5 across the scoreboard. 4.5. I'm going to turn and score at 4.5. Okay. So now to assemble these, I'm going to put this in my scoreboard like so. And the 10.5 inch piece, I am just going to fold over one side on one of those score lines. And make sure it's nice and straight. Nobody wants a crooked waterfall. Ooh, loud truck. It's the only bad thing about having my filming desk next to a window. I get to hear all the loud trucks. All right, so that space that we have behind there, we're going to just add glue to that. And then you just want to line up where we fold it over. If you have this in your scoreboard, your first score line's at 4.5. I'm just going to put this right where the 5 is. And make sure it's nice and straight all the way across. And then I'm going to burnish. I'm going to open and I'm going to burnish that nicely down. Okay. Then we'll grab our smaller piece, our 9.5, and we're going to do the same thing. We're simply going to fold it over on one of the score lines so that your shorter side is to the front. I'm going to burnish that. Make sure it's nice and straight. And I am going to add glue to that space. And this one is going to go where it's the 5.5. So line that up nice and neat. And then burnish it down. Open it up. Burnish it down. Now, once you have that portion done, you can go back over to this side and very carefully start folding over and burnishing those pieces. I want it to all be folded. Making sure that everything lines up before burnishing. And then what you're going to have is this nice, easy waterfall. I'm going to go back and I am going to fold the last two over here, or the last one, I should say. That first one, I'm going to put that up in my scoreboard, make sure everything is lining up, and then I can burnish. And now you see you have this nice cohesive waterfall. All right, so for the waterfall, I decided in the end, after pulling everything together, it is still going on signature 3. However, I'm not going to put it inside of here. I'm going to do something different in here. So I am going to put this on the outside. We're going to want to cover this with paper first, but I will tell you that you will glue this portion just to here and leave a little bit of space. You can either put it all the way at the top or you can leave a little bit of space. It's totally up to you, but either way, you're going to need to add a piece that is 1.5 by 6.5. You know, put that in your scoreboard at 6.5. Is that 6.5? Well, mine's not quite 6.5. So let's just score it at half, and whatever's left works, right? Let's see how tall that is. That's a little tall. Let's go ahead and score this at 1. I want it to actually be nice and sturdy. So this, I'm not going to worry about mitering, but on that 1 inch area, we're just going to add some glue. And then I am going to find the center of my page here. So I have 5.5. I want to go right about to that 2 1/4 with my first side. And that should put me right in the middle. Well, not quite. That's a little over too far. Let's go over to 2 3/8 and see where that puts us. No, that's not what I meant. 2, put it at 2 and 1/8. Let's see here. That gives me 1 7/8 on that side and too much on that side. Okay, I don't know why I cannot find my measurements on today. So we have 1 7/8 and we have 2 1/8. So I need to go over 1 more 1/8. If you want it specifically right in the middle, if you aren't worried about it being right in the middle, don't worry about it. But to get it in the middle, we want to put it right, line up at 1 7/8, I think. No, I just cannot. All right, so I've cut that, and I'm just going to put that right around the middle. I'm going to find my middle here. That. It's going to be right about there. So we'll just do that. Stick it on there. Pretty close to the middle. It doesn't have to be exact. Just as long as it sticks. And then when you put your waterfall down, we will put a magnet underneath and a magnet on here that will hold it all in. And signature 4 is even simpler. This is simply a 6 1/4 by 7 3/4. We're going to score that at 1/2 inch and at 3/4 of an inch. And that is a plain page that we're going to add some stuff to at a later time. So that's what I have here so far. I'm going to grab some other stuff, see if I want to add any flips and flaps, and I will be back. All right, so what I decided to do for signature 4 on the front side is a couple of stacked pockets. The back I'm going to leave plain and just as a photo mat with the decorative paper. So what you need for that is 6 1/2, and I did just a tick under 6 1/2 so that it would fit nicely in our length. One needs to be 3 1/2 and one needs to be 2 1/2. Okay, so for the 6 1/2 by 3 1/2, we're going to go in and we are going to score with the 6 1/2 at the top. And remember, it's just a little under that 6 1/2. And we're going to score it 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So you want to go all the way around and score it 1/2 inch. Okay. For the 2 1/2, you're going to put that 6 1/2 again, just a tick under 6 1/2. We're going to score it 1/2. Flip it all the way around, score it 1/2. And then you want to put it in at the 2 1/2, and we're just going to make a mark at 2 down to that first score line. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm just going to make a 1/2 inch mark. And that's going to give us these little squares. So for this one, what did I do with my scissors? We're going to cut these little squares out first, as you're not going to need these. So get those out of there. Okay, then what I like to do is fold this down and then do my mitering so I don't miter too much. Then you can go back, and once this one is burnished, we can miter this one as well as this one. Okay, so again, I'm going to fold my tab down and I'm going to go right up against it with my scissors and do my mitering, and then do my mitering on that one and on that one. And this is what you will have. Okay, for the other one, you're simply going to do your mitering straight across that cross section, or not straight, it's actually an angle. I shouldn't say straight. And then on the tops. And then you just want to get these all nice folded and burnished. So you get nice crisp pockets. I like my pockets nice and crisp and straight. So this one, if you're not familiar with these type of stack pockets, this will go right up against our 1/4 inch give space, but not in it. We want it to be able to bend. So that was the reasoning behind the little bit shorter. Okay, so this one, I can glue these down actually for you, as I can still decorate with these on. Just slide the paper in. I'm going to add glue first to this bottom section, and I'm going to do my little tape trick here. It's not my tape trick. Lots of people do it. I'm going to put this in. I'm going to line this up with my scoreboard here. Something I like to do, just added measure to make sure everything goes in nice and straight. I'm going to go ahead and burnish that out, and then I'm going to grab a piece of Scotch tape, simple clear tape, and I'm just going to run it Well, if it wouldn't have curled around, I would. Let's try that again. Curled right around my finger. I am just going to put that right on top of that tab. And I'm going to burnish that tape down. This is just going to help whatever I put in here slide a little easier. And then we can add the glue to those two side tabs. And then you can just simply push that up and burnish. A little extra glue there, I think. And it will pucker a tiny bit, and that's fine. So for this one, you just want to go ahead and fold and burnish your tabs. And before you glue these, just slide this in your pocket. Use that top where we cut the top out as a guide to kind of slide you down in there. And then we're just adhering glue to the tabs. This is the only portion of the top pocket that gets adhered, are these two little tabs. So again, I like to use my scoreboard so that I can see this right straight up and down, if that makes sense. Because I want this to tuck under here and I want it to line up. So if anything gets stuck, I will see it before it happens. And I just want to line everything up. And then what I like to do is take my ruler and double check. So right here I have 2 5/8. On this end I have too much. So this is obviously down in the pocket too far. We want this to be even. So now I have 2 5/8, 2 5/8. Now I can burnish. And there is my stacked pockets. And like I said, on the back side, I'm just going to embellish this with the decorative paper and leave it pretty as a photo mat. Okay. Now, as for the back inside, we're just going to put a vertical pocket back here that's doubled. So you're going to have a 4x9. We're going to score that at the 4 at 1/2 inch. Turn so that you're on your 9, score at 1/2 and 8 1/2. And that's going to make this pocket. I'm going to miter all of our corners. Set that aside, and then you're going to have one that is 3x9, and we're going to do the same thing. So put it in at 3, score at 1/2. Put it in at the 9, score at 1/2, and at 8 1/2. And do your mitering. And that's what you will have. Now, this pocket, we are going to get burnished, folded, burnished, all that fun stuff. This pocket will actually go on top of this pocket and be put in the book. So you have a pocket here and a pocket here, okay? So I am going to gather up my stuff, get my decorating done, and then we'll put everything in the book. So now we're going to do adhere the stuff that is for the cover. And I had not decided on a cover, front cover embellishment, but I did decide to go with just a pocket. So we're going to take a 7 by 3.5 inch piece of the Artisan, score that with the 7 across your scoreboard at 1/2, and turn it around and score at 1/2. And then we will turn it to the side and score at 3. And that's going to give us a nice 3-inch pocket just to put in that front area. I'm going to go ahead and miter all of my edges here. And fold and burnish. And then I'm going to dry fit this first, because sometimes when you put pockets, you have to double check it, because we don't want it to get in the way of the book actually moving. So this one looks like it fits just fine, and that's just going to go right down on the bottom here. So I'm just going to add glue to all 3 of those 1/2-inch tabs. And you can notch this pocket as well, if you choose to. And I'm going to try to go closer to the front cover edge here, where the book opens, rather than the back side, just because I want to make sure that when I line this up and everything goes down, that the book, like I said, still opens and closes very nicely. And let's just make sure it does without that pocket getting in the way, and it does. I'm a little crooked down here though. I don't want a crooked pocket. I don't think we ever want crooked pockets. It's just not sticking for me this morning. All right, I'm just going to burnish that pocket down. Actually turned out to be a pretty darn good fit there. And then I will decorate. You also have seen that in my decorating. So then the back side is a little different. We did the stacked pockets that we made in the tutorial. I'm just going to go ahead and show you how these go on. And if you don't like the side, the vertical pockets, you can feel free to do whatever you want. You could mirror this and just put a pocket in the back. Some people, the vertical pockets are not something they love, and that is okay. I like them, but they're not for everybody. So I will say that when you do a vertical pocket, and I have done them in the past the opposite way, if they face out towards open space, they do work a lot better. I have made a couple albums where people have found it difficult to get the stuff out when it faces the spine, and we don't want that. So I'm just double checking before I glue. This is the larger of the 2 pockets, and I will have to do my decorating before I put the other one on, but I will show you how it goes. So we're going to put this down right next to the spine, but not going over it, obviously. Give yourself a little bit of room there. And that is that. So then when I do glue this one on, because I got to put paper down first, but once I do, then I can put the second one on top of it if you choose. If you don't like that look, you don't have to do that. You can just leave it as one. I'm not sure why mine is puckering something fierce. I don't know if I didn't get enough glue or what is happening here, but we are gonna try to fix that for sure. I don't like all that puckering. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why that's doing that, but that's all right. Okay, so now we have all of our signatures done and everything else. I have a couple things on those signatures I wanted to go over. So I've already done most of my decorating, and you will have seen it in the walkthrough if you watched that. So we had our signature 1 and 2, those are complete. Signature 3, I did make a fun little tag to go in there, and I used the tag dies that I purchased at CCC. They're no longer available. However, if you have these, they are wonderful. They're the album tags and accents dies. And there are lots of dies out there if you don't. I do believe that CCC still has the Graphic 45 tags. If so, I will link them below. They would work wonderfully in this pocket as well. I did have to cut it down a little to fit in this one, but that's very easily done. You just, cut off the sides a little bit, and we have our fun little stuff in here. So for what I wanted to show you before I finish up, for our signature 3, 4 is done. I just wanted to show you how I'm going to add a closure and a magnet to this. We put this little black piece here on the bottom, and what I did was put a magnet on my top waterfall. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, in case you don't know how to apply magnets, because not everybody does, I've already stuck down the minus portion, and the other one is just right on top. As you can see, I can pull this off and you'll see. Okay, I'm just going to leave that on there, and next I'm going to figure out, let's go ahead and glue this first, actually, because I don't want to make a boo-boo. If I could get my glue to open. I'm just starting out my day, so my glue is going to be difficult. Gotta have something happen. All right, glue open. So in case you're not sure how to put your waterfalls down, this area that's in the back, it is where we had scored and placed our waterfalls together. It's the only area that you want to put glue, okay? So make sure it stays above that bottom score line. And I do quite a bit when I'm putting my stacked waterfalls in, just because I don't want it to slide around too much, and I don't want it to stick too quick. Now I am putting mine a little bit down from the top. I don't want it all the way up. I want to see that blue paper all the way around, and I've finished that. I'm going to go ahead and take a bone folder and just go through each page here and make sure that that glue is sticking down nicely. And once I have that done, then I'm just going to grab this little band that we added and stick it down so it grabs that magnet. And now I can add my 3/4 inch piece of the stripe that I put on the ends. I also used the 65-pound smooth white on my waterfall pages. And then this is just a piece of the paper, the pink stripe that I used. I cut 3/4 inch strips, and I'm just going to line that up. That one seems a little bit wide. Let's move that over just a bit. All right, burnish that over that magnet really, really well. Sometimes the paper wants to lift because, you have a magnet underneath of there. So you just have to do it cautiously so you don't rip through your paper with a bone folder. And now we have this, and I will go back in and decorate the bottom of this. But I did use one of the cut-aparts, and I put it on top of the blue vellum and then also black. And I'm just going to position this when I finish my decorating up. I'm going to glue this onto the belly band to just add a little something to the page, and then I will add paper to this as well. So that is our signatures. So now what I want to show you is how I line up my hinges on the spine to make it easy. Now, if you don't have a 1/2 inch, if you don't have the spacers and you want to get them, they are back, and I will put them in a link below for you for these. These are wonderful tools. So what I did is I went in and I put my spacer, my 1/2 inch, and I made lines with a pencil. Just light colored lines in the middle. You will not see those once you glue your signatures down. So we're going to start with the first signature, and I will put that in. I've already put some score tape here on the back and burnished it, but I'd like to add a little bead of glue as well, just for that added strength. And what I want to do with this is I am going to go in and I'm going to line this up, trying to keep the same amount of space on the top and the bottom. And I'm going to look and see where that line I made with the pencil is. Perfect. And then I can go in and I can burnish that down and get rid of the excess glue. I don't think we need my hair. Oh, you know what? I put the wrong signature. I'm glad that didn't glue down yet. That is not signature 1. I'm sorry, I grabbed the wrong one. Let's grab the right one. Excuse me. That would be this one. Again, I'm going to grab some glue and put it down there. I'm so glad that that was still damp enough to not stick to my page too much. All right. Let's just double check this. Perfect. Going to burnish that down and flip that over. Okay, now signature 2 is this one. I don't know why I was trying to put signature 4 at signature 1, but you know, it's early here. I've got my glue on there. Now this is where it can get tricky with this hinge system. You really want to see where this is going, because you don't want this to slip underneath of the last one. And if it's not quite dry yet, it will try to slip under. But you want to make sure that it's in line with it, and in line if you made a mark like I did. Mine is good. And I'm just going to close this and make sure that my pages are lining up, and they are, before I do a harder burnish. All right, signature 3 is our fun one with the waterfall. Peel that tape backing off and add that bead of glue. And I will say that we have 1/2 inch tabs for our gussets. And I put 1/4 inch tape on mine. I don't cover the whole thing with tape. I found that it gets a little muckety muck if this is off by even the slightest little bit from that 1/2 inch, which is also one of the reasons that I add the glue, because I don't want the big mess. All right, I just need to make sure this is lining up. And it is. Make sure my pages, see, it's gonna give on me when I lift it up, which is fine. It's just mainly to make sure the pages are all in line with each other. And see, it wants to slide. You probably can't see it, obviously, but it wants to slide underneath that last signature, and I don't want that. Let's just make sure that we are lined up. Yes. And this one, I might actually have to let this dry a little. It's wanting to lift a little bit, which is not what I want. It should be okay. All right, signature 4 is going to go in. Get that bead of glue down, especially now that my tape is no longer really existent. And line that up. Make sure these are lining up. And they are. All right. So that is our book put together, ready to go. And I will be finishing up my decorating, and like I said, you've probably already seen the walkthrough, but I will be doing that very, very soon. I think I might have actually, oh no, that's the pocket. I will be adding my cover, decorating, and all of that. So you're going to have this fun waterfall here, and I'll get that all done and on the walkthrough. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, and get this paper if you need it. You make so many fun things with this happy birthday paper from CCC, and you can only get it at CCC. It's wonderful color combination, and it just does really well for coordinating with each other. As you can see, I kind of tried to keep my patterns on the page spreads in a matching fashion, and I really wanted to lean into color blocking a little bit with this, with all the different vellums, as you can see here for an example. All right, hope you guys have a wonderful crafty day. Bye-bye.